he put a belt on the line. You think I'm not going to be a world champion? Of course I'm taking that belt from him.
You're not going to be a world champion.
Taking all the belts.
You can have the brown belt from Kmart. You can have the green belt. Matter of fact, David Vieira competes. Allegedly, he's going to do something this weekend, but he has the big tournament next weekend in the Eddie Bravo Invitational.
Well, if they got belts there, I'm going to take those too. I'll even take the Serpentine belt from the car. I want all the belts.
How about the seat belt?
That would be iconic.
You need to start walking around
with a seat belt, just like a suspenders.
Yeah, you need to do that.
That is classic, Randy.
All right, so we're waiting for Caleb to call in, and just in case he doesn't, let's talk about it.
Yeah.
He says that they're waiting for him to pick up. All right. He's trying to call. We're having problems with the phone line, so we're trying to piece together Skype, Google, abstracting this.
You missed the payphones? Miss when people
beepers. I missed the beeper.
Do you really?
I missed the beeper.
I mean, looking back to what we have now, beepers were so they weren't really effective or efficient. Because you get paid, but then you have to still have a phone to call. You would have to go and find a phone.
Of course, but they didn't have cell phones back then. So yes, you dummy, having a beeper now would be stupid. That would be dumb.
Back then it was only
the beeper goes off, so you pick up your cell phone and call back.
Back then it was what? Drug dealers and doctors had pagers. That was it. Back in the day, the original.
I don't know why I really needed it, but
the drug dealers and the doctors had it. I wonder what the drug dealers use today. What do the doctors use today?
I couldn't tell, but all right. So we got the system, the A line plugged into the G, plugged into the Z, and since you gave him crap, he didn't want to get fined, so we organized him at least calling in.
I told you I'm not going to talk stuff about Caleb. He pushed me like 3 houses down last time we grappled.
Co-host, what's up?
What's up, buddy? What's up today?
So tell me why you didn't just run through him. I know that O-line necessarily doesn't do that. You're blocking, but why didn't you just run him over?
Yeah, we're trying to work on our technique, and to be honest, at that point in time, we were both pretty gassed out. So so we just got the footwork down. But I think he felt how easy it was for me to move him. I think I got that accomplished.
Unbelievable. Like the strength and the pure power. Like it's just literally I had all my body weight going in one direction and it wasn't enough.
It's so funny how you change what you're saying now that he's on, because that's not what you said before the show started.
Sure it was.
You said you handled Caleb like it was a small child.
Yeah, but that was different. That was before I knew he was on the line.
All right, so I purposely haven't talked anything NFL. We talked some baseball with Tony Saunders. We talked with Sam Hughes, who fights this weekend, UFC Fight Night. I wanted to save my disdain for what the NFL is becoming for you when you were on. Do I need to go into any more, or do you know where I'm going?
Is it the Flag Football League? With the Packers?
I did like, you know how the people, whether it's media or whatever, they're always making up that this is a record on Tuesdays at noon, the most strikeout, blah, 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 blah. I saw the funniest stat ever, that was the first time in the history of the NFL someone holding the ball was called for roughing the passer.
That's pretty funny. That's pretty funny. Yeah, man. It's getting ridiculous. It's like I had this debate all week with like friends, and it was the same thing I said when the Tua thing happened. I was like, people want to roughing the passer on that. I'm like, it's not roughing the passer. Like the dude hit his head. It was scary. It's football. It happens. Like I don't understand. Like the Chris Jones one was bad. The one at the Bucs game was awful too. Like he's getting tackled. Like the guy didn't land on him. He wraps him up and takes him to the ground. Like how it's impossible to sack a quarterback or tackle somebody without some part of your body landing on him. It's impossible, and they have to fix it because it's going to cost people games.
Oh, it's definitely going to cost games. Now, I tweeted to Jeff Saturday. So Jeff Saturday on the Four Letter Network was going off on the Tom Brady call, and he said that awful call cost the Atlanta Falcons the game. So I tweeted Jeff Saturday, and I said, and to his credit, he did respond. I tweeted to him, I said, I agree with you, it was an awful call. Where I disagree with you is that it didn't cost the Atlanta Falcons the game. It cost the Atlanta Falcons the opportunity to win the game. That play didn't cost the game, but it was an awful call.
Yeah. I mean, it just, if you look at the momentum, they were coming back. They're kind of making their little run. So I wouldn't say it cost them the game, but definitely cost them opportunity to at least try to go get a chance to win the game. And at the end of the day, like, we've seen crazy things happen in football. So, the opportunity is all you need. Not saying that they would have won. I think the Bucs still pulled that game off with their defense. But terrible call. The Chris Jones one was just so bad, because the game is over right there. And it really almost cost the Chiefs the game. If they had a lesser quarterback or a lesser team, who knows?
Right.
But, they need to get, again, like I said, like, they all have this thing about optics. They want to look like they're protecting the quarterback. But after a while, like, it's like, dude. And I think we've talked about it on the show before. There's some times where you see a roughing the passer. Even me, it's my team, and so I'm like, yeah, I'll take it. But it's just getting so soft. Like, quarterback, they play football too. It's not practice. They got to get hit a little.
And that's what Tom Brady, Caleb, said in the press conference after, when he was asked about it. He didn't smirk, but you could see the smirk there. And the comment was, I don't throw the flags. I mean, you can't blame Tom Brady. You have to blame the referee.
Yeah, and guys are going to, they're going to play to how the game is called. Like, there's certain games where defensive backs are allowed to grab receivers and play physical with them. And you know how that's going to be called. We go over that stuff in the week of practice. Coach tells you what these guys call more, whether they call out offensive holdings, whether they call a defensive penalty, then you know how much you can push the limits of play. But with these roughing the passer calls, like, I'm an offensive lineman, and I'm saying it's some BS. Like, the league has to fix it.
I'm curious, and I'm sure we'll get back to these awful, horrendous calls, but I'm curious where you stood in that Kansas City game with, and I still want to call them Oakland, when the Las Vegas Raiders go for the 2-point conversion and not the 1 point to tie it up at the end of the game.
I'm more traditional in this sense. I understand the analytics thing, but for me, it's you go and you tie the game up, and then you put it on your defense. Those whatever it was, 4 minutes to go. Was it? How long was it? It was a good amount of time.
Yeah, but I don't think it was 4. It might have been, somewhere in the 3s. Not that that's a big difference.
Okay,
but
somewhere in the 3s. Right, you have 3 minutes to go. I say you tie this game up, give your defense a chance to win. We just saw the Baltimore Ravens do this a few weeks ago with their analytics team, and they had a chance to go up 3 points, right? Or no, they were up 1 or up 2, had a chance to go 5. They go for the touchdown.
Right.
The Bills get the ball back, go down to your field goal and win by a point or 2 points or whatever, however it kind of unfolded. Like, give your team a chance, man. You guys just went down. It's a drainer. Again, like, if it works, you look at them like a superstar. If it doesn't work, it really kills the team. I'm always going to take the points. We're not going to be down. We're going to be tied. I'll take the points and I'll put it on my defense and give them a chance because now, like, it's just such a drainer when those things happen. So I'm putting it on my defense. I get why they're doing it. It's Patrick Mahomes. A lot of teams do it against him because, they're kind of scared about how fast those guys score and their offensive firepower, but I'm taking the tie.
Okay, talk to me like I don't understand anything because in this point I don't, and I agree with you. This is what I'm saying. What difference does it make whether you're up a point or tied with Patrick Mahomes getting the ball with 3.5 minutes left? They need a field goal to beat you. Or if they don't score, it's tied. I don't understand what that 1 point was going to do. You don't think Patrick Mahomes is going to go down and get a field goal?
Like I said, that's what analytics tells you. I am just saying I will take the points. I'm on your side.
No, right. No, I'm agreeing with you. I'm not getting you and I agree. But the only way Patrick Mahomes doesn't take them 45 yards down, to kick a field goal is if he's not on the field.
Yeah. And there is the whole thing about, they have a bad kicker, things like that. Okay, we've talked about kickers before, right? And, people have their feelings about, how relevant they are to the teams and stuff like that. I want to give Justin Tuck, Texas kid, a shout out because that dude deserves like quarterback money. He's so special. I mean, he's hitting 65-yarders down the middle with 5 to 6 yards to spare like it's nothing. Like he's impressive. He's pretty remarkable. I will say that. So I want to give him that.
Yeah, he definitely is the real deal.
So
yeah, he's awesome.
So Caleb, all right. So you're talking about traditional
Don't
football.
talk to Caleb like he's your best friend now.
I'm not. I'm just asking him a football question. Jeez. So what time are you coming over tonight, buddy? So No, but going back
fish fry at Caleb's house.
But going back to traditional football, it traditionally is played 3 downs. You don't get to the 4th, you punt the ball away. But a lot of coaches, the new age coaches, are going for 4th downs consistently now and taking that chance and believing in their offense. But how hard is it really to go 10 yards in 4 plays? Is it like analytically?
I mean, again, I'm not an analytics guy. Like I said, I like the old school traditional style. I mean, I understand this. I understand the transition because basketball did this a few years ago when the Golden State Warriors were taking 3-pointers and then beating teams by so many, winning championships, right? So they're thinking that, okay, we should all start shooting 3-pointers because 3 points are worth 2 points. So it's either a layup, a shot at the basket, or a 3-pointer. That's kind of how teams are playing. And you will see teams like the Rockets go and have play great games. James Harden score all these points, and they get to the playoffs, and you can't sustain that kind of play because situational football, situational basketball is still what matters the most. It's not about a computer. It's not even the baseball team. I think remember when they did the analytics thing? They didn't win any World Series. I don't believe, and so it looks good in the regular season. It looks good in certain times where you can make plays and get points. But it's not championship football. It's not championship sports. You can't use a computer. The situations are different every single time. If you think because it's 4th and inch, I'm going to go for it and get it, no, teams miss it all the time. Teams miss it all the time, and it changes complexions of games. They did it against the Chiefs. I think the Browns did it against the Chiefs last year when they were up. Ended up switching the whole flow. No, a few years ago when the Browns played the Chiefs, they switched the whole flow of the game. They were up. They go for a 4th down. Don't get it. Chiefs get a short field. They go back the other way and win the game. The Chargers almost lost Browns doing that last week, going for it on 4th and 2.
What wasn't that Browns Kansas City game you're talking about the one where the bad call cost the Browns the game?
Bad call. Refresh my memory.
The bad call at the 1-inch line. He's reaching for the touchdown. He hits the ground. The ball fumbles, even though it was inside play, and it rolls in, and they called it a touchback and cost him the game.
Yeah, but it was a fumble, wasn't it? If I remember.
Well, I think everybody has said since then, kind of like what happened, with the Bucks and back in the day in '99 in St. Louis. They're now saying no, that was a wrong call.
Oh, okay. I guess I missed
but again,
that part.
But again, and everybody always says this, and just like me correcting Jeff Saturday, one play doesn't cost a game. I mean, no. It's 60 minutes of things that could have happened differently, not just that one play. But that one play certainly didn't help.
And Bill Belichick has this thing where he doesn't allow players to reach the ball line at the goal line. Because if you can't get in there with 2 hands on the ball and run a guy over, then you're not getting in. We'll do it the next play.
Right.
We'll get a chance to do it again the next play. And I think those things go into account. I think the Patriots are historically been the best situational football team. I think the Kansas City Chiefs are really good at that also. But again, it's just those, the whole, the whole thing with analytics. I'm not that big a fan of it. I think guys, those things are good for you every once in a while and make it, but there's a reason guys put on 4th down. It's not a high, whatever was high percentage play. Give it to your defense, trust your defense, let them make plays. And in certain situations, you need to go for it. When you're down, like with the Packers and the Bucks in the AFC Championship game a couple years ago, when they're down, I think they're down 8 points or whatever. And it's okay, do I go for it on 4th down and future field goal? Those are different situations that you talk about. Then we can go for it on 4th down because we need the points, and it's easier to score here than get a field goal. And get a field goal here, then drive another 60 yards the time that we have in our timeouts to go and get another touchdown. So those are the times when I think you go into those things. But just this whole, it's the 4th quarter. I'm on my own 40. I'm going for the 4th down. I'm not that big a fan.
So Caleb. So in addition to BFF on my resume of you and I's relationship,
he's really sticking this to me.
How would you like to add agent to our friendship? And in regards to, I still have 4 years of eligibility left. I've never used it up. Nike is giving out NIL deals. Bronny James, LeBron's son, he designed inside the numbers. I'm sure there's a lot of analytical that went into that contract.
Yeah,
but
his last name.
So what do I got to do to get a deal, Caleb? Can you be my manager and help me get some eligibility and help me walk on?
Well, I mean, hey, as far as eligibility goes, you can go to any college. I've seen a guy that was a 50-year-old running back At like
really? Yeah.
So you can go on there and get that done pretty easily. I can make some calls to some coaches that I know. As far as being my agent, unfortunately, you're not NFLPA certified, so that wouldn't be possible. And I don't know that there's many teams that'll pick up your phone call if you call them.
What about Nike? Will Nike pick up my phone call?
No.
Will they pick up a phone call from you, sir?
No, Nike doesn't pick up offensive lineman phone calls anymore. There was unless you're Trent Williams, they stopped doing that. Actually, so Randy, there's something I want to talk to you about.
Yep.
Talk to you about two things: the Draymond Green punch, right? But did you hear about that?
Yeah, of course I did.
Okay, yeah, Draymond Green punch, and then Devontae Adams pushing that guy and him suing him, right?
Well,
I'll start with the Devontae.
There's a third one. There's a third one you might want to add to it.
Aaron Donald.
No. The fan that ran on the field that's now suing the player that tackled him.
Yeah, I thought we talked about that. Maybe not. But yeah, we're going to lump those two together.
Okay. Which one you want to go to first?
We'll do the fan that got tackled. The fan that got tackled, you're being a knucklehead, and you run on there on my space, running at me with something that's smoking. I'm defending myself.
Absolutely.
You should be ashamed of yourself to get up after getting tackled because it was a player and go sue him. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Unfortunately, in the sue-happy world we're in, you can sue. Doesn't mean you can win, but you can sue for almost anything. It is ridiculous, and I would hope that not only does he not win, but he is then fined for wasting people's time in the court.
Yes. The second one is the Devontae Adams situation. Okay. I understand that that guy got pushed, right? But also, you're in the way of a guy who's running off the field. Those things happen all the time. Like, guys, you're taking a picture on the sideline. A touchdown comes, a pass gets thrown your way. You trip into the guy. You hit the guy over. You pick the person up. You apologize, whatever it is. And, yeah, you were upset because somebody jumped in front of him. But, like, you're not just – like, I understand the whole thing about civilian and, like – but that guy's a credentialed member of the press. Like, you should understand that guys are running through there. Like, I've been running out the tunnel before and knocked somebody over who was working there, not on purpose, but those things happen. Like, take your apology, maybe ask some tickets, but to go file a police report, start saying that, oh, I have a concussion and all these different things, and you're going to sue somebody, like, I think that's kind of also kind of cowardly. I understand it's your opportunity to go make a couple $100,000 because you see dollar signs with the player, you make a lot of money. But I'm just like, dude, I hope the judge sees it and just throws it out. Just like, let's get real here. I
agree with you 100%, and I know I've told this story numerous times. So, and I'll tell it again just in case I haven't told you. So my big thing in what I do for a living is, I get to meet people. We form friendships that help both sides. Coming on the radio, we talk about whatever. So when an athlete leaves, we just had Tony Saunders on, who played here in Tampa. We stayed friends for a long time. When you left here, I made it a point, as did you, to stay connected because that's important to me. My whole thing is, I know I've said this to you numerous times, I've met you because of what you do and what I do. What you do and what I do has nothing to do with it. It's just that's how come we met because of that. So there's a former offensive lineman. His name's Jorge Diaz. The Buccaneers, as well as all the fans, used to call him George Diaz. And one day we're playing golf, and I'm like, well, what's your name? And he goes, it doesn't really matter. George, Jorge? I'm like, no, dude, what's your name? He goes, well, it's really Jorge. I'm the one who helped make everybody in this town call him Jorge. So Jorge leaves the Dallas Cowboys. I could give you the whole long song and dance. He goes, the Tampa Bay Bucks, he goes to the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys come back the next year to play. We had stayed in touch. I don't know if cell phones were around back then, but whatever. So the moral of the story, Caleb, is he's running out on the field to warm up. I don't even think it was the game. It was just to warm up. I stepped in front of him just to kind of say, hey, Jorge, what's up, dude? And he almost ran me over.
Yeah.
So he didn't even see me. And again, you just talked about it. You're not paying attention. You're running on the field, running off the field. You're not thinking some knucklehead is going to step in front of you, whether you're wearing all these pads or not. So him suing is ridiculous. You shouldn't be standing in front of somebody that's running towards you, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's just, it's like, I don't like people come into, Like I like to think about the practice field, the football field. Like that's like our sanctuary. That's where we're allowed to go out there and express ourselves, be ourselves. Like when you're somebody who is on the outside, quote unquote, coming into that area, coming into like our kind of world, I think you have to like respect our space, and you should be held just as accountable for your actions and things that happen out there as we are. It shouldn't just be the players, or the only one responsible for anything because you're making money or whatever it is. No, like we come in here and we do a physically very, very emotional thing for hours. This dude just lost the game. Like, be aware of your surroundings. Like, be aware of what's going on. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's important.
I agree with you.
Taylor, does that principle still apply to the 10-year-old boy who ran out on the field during the Bucs-Falcons game last week and got tackled by security? Like, does that matter?
He was 10?
10.
There's no way.
10 years old.
I watched it. That guy looked like a grown adult.
I mean, look, Keon's at the bar. He looks like Webster. I mean, I threatened to put him in an elevator and send him upstairs yesterday for talking crazy. But like,
you got to think. This is how I think about it. We don't know what you're doing out there. Like, it's a safety thing. Like, you want to be a knucklehead and go streaking and doing something like that. We don't know what you're doing out there. His parents should be held responsible. I don't want a little kid to get hurt by getting tackled, but whoever his parents are should be held responsible. It should be fined. It should be banned in the stadium. Why are you letting a kid hop up? Because it's not like it's a basketball where you can just run out there. You have to hop down the little ledge and sprint onto the field at 10 years old. Like, that's not, no. You're not going to, no one's going to think you're cool for doing that.
Somebody had to have lowered him. You know, he couldn't have jumped. You know, there's stairs, security. Right. Yeah, somebody has to be held accountable. Before we run out of time, you want to talk about Draymond?
Yes, I want to talk about Draymond. I want people to understand that it looks bad because of the world we live in today. And everybody wants to talk about, Michael Jordan. Like, that's on the four-letter networks. Anybody else talk about Michael Jordan, and that was like he punched Steve Kerr. Since my time in the NFL, I've seen countless fistfights. I've gotten into fistfights with my teammates on the practice field. I've gotten into fights with teammates in the weight room before. It's happened so many times. I've seen people fight that I forget about it, and my friends reminded me of a fist fight I had with a teammate in the weight room. Me and that teammate still talk to this day. We're fine. Like, it happened, and you forget about it. Men, there's a lot of testosterone, there's a lot of ego, a lot of alpha males. Fights happen. It sucks that the video is out, because now it's embarrassing for Jordan Poole, right? I think that's the negative part, is now the video came out, and it's embarrassing for Jordan Poole and his family because he looks like he's kind of like weak and he didn't fight back and those kind of things. But that stuff is so common in sports. Like, this whole uproar and like, Draymond should be fired and traded and all this stuff like that. Like, no, like, these things happen. Like, fights happen. I'll tell people all the time, like, my first practice, William Wilson tried to fight me. William Wilson's one of my best friends now. Like, we talk all the, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's one of those things where he did it. He was like, I just want to see what you're made of.
Right.
And we both fought. Like, we got to practice, and he goes, I like that you did that. Now I know that I can trust you on this team. Now I know that when somebody else does it to you on a different team, you're going to stand up for yourself. So all these things, like, they happen, and this whole uproar, it's like, dude, like, y'all got to leave sports athletes alone sometimes. You got to leave us alone and handle things where we handle it and understand that it's not governed like regular jobs. So you can't look at it from the, I work cubicle.
I just want to throw this out real quick. I know you got something as well, Matt, but, I don't think it's, and I could be wrong, you and Will, whatever. My thought has always been, it's not that they're seeing if you'll stand up for yourself. They're seeing if you'll stand up for them. Will you have your opponents, your teammates back? If something happens, to me, that's what it's about. Just what kind of person are you that you're going to stand up? So I've heard numerous stories, similar.
And I agree with you, Caleb. I mean, it's a shame that there's video everywhere, that everybody has a camera and a recorder now. Back when Randy was doing it, they were pagers. Back when Jorge Giselle was fighting the UFC and he would page Randy.
Could you say his name right?
Jorge.
Which is George. His name is not Jorge.
Okay, George Diaz. And he would run over Randy, come out of the tunnel.
Oh, my God, I hate you.
But I loved it when the media was old school and they didn't have technology in their hands. And those things that kept in the team stayed in the team. And I think it was better for the sport.
Well, I don't know if it's better for the sport. And Caleb, you and I have talked about it. The cell phone is the devil. We understand that. I get all that. That's why there is such a line, between media between fans, between athletes. Nobody knows who they can trust.
Well, that happened in the locker room with the Lakers. They're selling out, his teammates. And so, technology has changed the chemistry inside that locker room, where back in the day it was a fraternity and only people inside the know knew.
All right, so we're almost out of time. I agree with you, Caleb. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to let you go. We're going to do these couple interviews that we have till the bottom of the next hour, and then we're going to call you back so that we have the last half an hour of the show with you as well, since you are the co-host of this show.
Hey, give me a tryout, Coach. I'm ready to go.
I'm turning your mic off.
Last thing before we go, whoever released that video, their name should be released, and they should be sued and punished because that is wrong.
Well,
that's wrong.
We'll talk about that in the next hour because, I don't know the details. I don't know, was it an open practice, closed practice? Was that person media? Was